Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Williams, and on behalf of George Langevin Productions, I'd like to welcome you to beautiful San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. Great evening for baseball, and baseball we have on store for you tonight. It's the ARCO AM/PM Division I CIF Baseball Finals. The finals competition tonight puts the Grossmont Foothillers against the Sun Devils of Mount Carmel High School. Now let's get a rundown of the starting lineup for the Foothillers of Grossmont. Pitching tonight on the mound is number 19, Marcos Mendoza. Mendoza pitching. Catching behind the plate, number 1, Bo Craig. That's Craig behind the plate. First base this evening for the Foothillers, Eric Smedsrud, number 30, Smedsrud, first base. Second base for the Foothillers, Sean Curley, number 2, second base Curley. Third base this evening, Ryan Lair, all-star standout. Mr. Lair wearing number 6, he'll play third base. Boog Walker, number 23, Walker at shortstop. And then rounding out the outfield from left field to right field, Joe Howarth, number 21, playing left field. Center field for the Grossmont Foothillers, it's Brett Nielsen, number 9, Nielsen center field. And rounding out the team in right field is Robert Spencer, number 44, Spencer in right field. And we'll be up with the starting lineup, batting order for Mount Carmel, and the start of the game right after this. On deck for Mount Carmel Sun Devils, Eric Chavez, number 6. First 3 batters up will be Chavez, Mueller, and Munson. Eric Chavez, one of the great standout players for Mount Carmel, wearing number 6. Chavez will be the starting pitcher for Mount Carmel. And the game's underway. Check swing and called. Ball it is. Ball 1 to Eric Chavez. So it'll be Chavez, Mueller, and Munson, the first 3 batters for Mount Carmel. We are starting the game, top half of the first inning, no score. Ball is high for ball 2. So it was Eric Chavez doing the damage in the semifinal game against Rancho Bernardo. There's a high fly ball into the gap. Catching it is the left fielder, that's Joe Howarth, and we've got 1 out. So he got underneath that ball. It was high to sky ball, and it was Howarth in left field who called for it and made the play. So there's 1 out here in the top half of the first inning. And up to bat now is Chachi Mueller. Chachi playing position short, or second base that is, for the Mount Carmel Sun Devils. Chachi wearing 39. Hit by a pitch on the first one, and Chachi's going to take that in the hip and stride down to first base. So the Sun Devils get a runner on first base, and that'll bring up another standout for Mount Carmel, and that's Eric Munson. Eric playing catcher for tonight's game, wearing number 44. The dynamic duo for Mount Carmel, you hear a lot about Eric Chavez and Eric Munson. That's high, ball 1 to Eric. So you got the whole entire Mount Carmel Sun Devils team, but the 2 team names you hear most is Eric Chavez, and the person at the plate is Eric Munson. There's a call strike. So the count is 1-1 to Eric Munson. Eric Munson figures to be one of the top draft choices coming up in the June draft for the professionals. On top of that, Eric himself has a scholarship and a letter of intent ready for him at USC if he chooses not to turn professional out of high school. So Eric, nice block by Bo Craig, takes the ball up and tosses back to Mendoza. So it's Eric Munson, who has a very bright future not only in the professional leagues, but also a bright, bright future at USC. So it's 3 balls and 1 strike to Eric Munson. Chachi Mueller on first base with the hit pitch. Strike called at the knees, so that's going to bring the count full to Eric Munson. Chachi Mueller, outfielder, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds. Big swing and a miss, and there's out number 2. Eric Munson going after a high pitch, and that'll do it for Eric. So there's now 2 out in the top half of the first inning, and Jake Epstein comes to the plate. First baseman for Mount Carmel, Jake Epstein, wearing number 36. Jake Epstein, a senior, bats right, throws right, quick flip back to first base. Nice throw by Bo Craig. Eric Smedzra there to try and pick off Chachi Mueller. And the count's no balls and 1 strike. Breaking pitch just low, so the count evens now, 1 ball and 1 strike. So Jake Epstein, senior at Mount Carmel, 6'5", 210 pounds, swung and fouled back, and Jake Epstein had a good swing at that pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We'll make that 1 ball, 2 strikes. So we mentioned coming in tonight's game, Mount Carmel in the semifinal match against Rancho Bernardo went into 8 innings of play, and it was Mount Carmel beating Rancho Bernardo 11-9. We'll tell you the exciting story about that game in just a minute. Pitch on the way. Breaking ball on the ground, stopped. So it was a nice effort by Ryan Lair as he went to his left trying to snag the ball, and they're going to give a hit, a base hit, to Jake Epstein. So with 2 out, Jake Epstein gets an infield hit, and now we've got runner at scoring position. That's Chachi Mueller at second with Jake Epstein at first base, and now coming up is number 9, Mark Muncy. Muncy takes a swing at a high pitch and fouls it back, and that'll be strike 1. So Muncy playing third base for Mount Carmel. Getting back earlier to the semifinal match with Mount Carmel and Rancho Bernardo. It was Mount Carmel scoring 11 runs in the final 4 innings of play in that game. Another shot. Diving stop by number 23, Boog Walker, to keep the ball going into left field. Boog Walker laying out on the ground, but now with 2 outs, we've got the bases loaded. They're giving a hit to Mark Muncy. And so now with 2 out, bases now are loaded, and it's up to Mike Carter, center fielder, to see what he can do. So it's Mike Carter at the plate against Marcos Mendoza. Bases are loaded. First pitch is called a strike at the knees. So Mike Carter, wearing number 22, outfielder, does some pitching, 5'11", 170. Throws and bats left, and Mike, one of the few freshmen on this team, 9th grader playing at the varsity level. Swing and a miss. Ball gets away. The play at the plate is thrown wild. So it was a pitch in the dirt that bounces off and away from Bo Craig, and that allowed Chachi Mueller to come in from third base, and the runners advance. So this is all happening now with 2 out in the top half of the first inning. 1-0 now the score. Runners moving up, and we've got Epstein at third base and Mark Muncy at second. 1 run is in, and still at the plate is Mike Carter. Swing and foul back. So the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mike Carter. It was really a nice block by Bo Craig, keeping the ball in front of him. Don't really think he had a play on Chachi Mueller anyway. Chachi was almost home when the throw came to Marcos. Swing and a miss. And that'll do it for the Mount Carmel Sun Devils, but the damage is done in the top half of the first. Mount Carmel won, and it's the Foothillers coming up.
For the Sun Devils in the top half. Checking out the Sun Devils on defense this evening.
Okay, starting defense position for the Mount Carmel Sun Devils. At first base, number 36, Jake Epstein. Epstein, first base. Second base, wearing number 39, is Chachi Mueller. Chachi coming in from third base on a wild pitch to score the run of the first inning. Mueller at second base. Third base for the Sun Devils, Mark Muncy, wearing number 9. That's Muncy at third base. Shortstop for tonight's game, Greg Bochy, number 7. That's Bochy at third base. And rounding out the outfield, number 10 is Dennis Mello, playing left field for Mount Carmel. Mello left field. Right field, Casey Chavez, number 9. Chavez right field. Center field for tonight's game, Mike Carter. Carter center field. And on the mound pitching, Eric Chavez, standout pitcher for Mount Carmel. Number 6, Chavez pitching. And behind the plate, number 44, Eric Munson. Munson behind the plate. So coming up now for the Foothillers in the bottom half of the first inning is Boog Walker. Walker wearing number 23, shortstop. There's a high fly ball, shallow center field. Calling for it is Greg Bochy and makes the play. So getting under that one was Boog Walker, and first batter up, flying out, and that's 1 away in this bottom half of the first inning. Bo Craig now coming up. Craig, a sophomore at Grossmont. .59", 160 pounds. So Grossmont returns to the championship game for the first time since winning back-to-back Class 2A titles in 1990 and 1991, and there's a strike called. So the count's 1 ball, 1 strike to Bo Craig. Ball low. So the Foothillers get here back to the final game by solid pitching from David Kirsch. There's a grounder, picked up and fumbled. Chachi Mueller just could not find the handle on that slow grounder to shortstop. And an error will be charged against Mueller. So Bo Craig, number 1, now a runner on first base for Grossmont, and that'll bring up Ryan Lair. Lair, a standout player for the Foothillers. Ryan Lair, catcher, 5'11", 195, junior for the Foothillers. Low and ball 1. So the runner on first base is Bo Craig. Got there on an error by Chachi Mueller. 1 out here, bottom half of the first inning. Swing and a miss as the ball's blown by Ryan Lair. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. So Eric Chavez, with 5 wins and 2 losses in his pitching season this year, On the mound for Mount Carmel, Division I Player of the Year 2 times for Mount Carmel. And going up against him, another standout for the Foothillers, that's Ryan Lair. Swung and fouled back. 2 strikes now on Ryan Lair. So in the first round of competition, the Foothillers beat Patrick Henry a score of 7-2, and it was Lair and Boog Walker each with 2-run homers that lifted it. And there's a throw over to first base. So Lair has some power, hitting each 2-run homers. And there's a swing and a miss, and strikeout number 1. And that'll be out number 2 for the Foothillers. Tyler Nichols now, designated hitter for the Foothillers. Tyler wearing number 3. Tyler Nichols, 5'11", 175, junior for the Foothillers. Breaking ball, nice pitch by Eric Chavez, and that's called strike 1 against Tyler Nichols. Tyler Nichols, he had 3 hits to defeat Granite Hills in the quarterfinals. Strike on the inside part of the plate, so the count now goes no balls and 2 strikes. Something that Eric Chavez likes, and it's something that Tyler Nichols, well, he wants to try and stay out of. Soft throw back to first base. Eric Chavez will do that from time to time just to make sure the runner at first knows he's paying attention to him. Breaking ball, just missing. Count goes now 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Tyler Nichols in the win by the Foothillers against Granite Hills. There's a shot, base hit into left field. Solid shot by Nichols, base hit left field. And that puts runners now on first and second. So Bo Craig moves to second. Tyler with a solid single stays at first, and it's now first baseman Eric Smetsrud that comes on base. Ball high. Smetsrud playing first base for tonight's game. 6'3", 200 pounds. Senior for the Foothillers. Batting right and throwing right. Swung and fouled off. Eric Smetsrud, a good target at first base at 6'3". So the infield in normal depth for Mount Carmel. Muncy at third, Bochy at shortstop, Mueller at second. Breaking pitch into the dirt, stopped nicely by Munson. Players and runners not advancing. Eric being the foundation behind the plate all season for Mount Carmel. The count now is 2 balls, 1 strike to Smetsrud. There's a shot foul. Slicing foul as it passed first base, and that would have been some trouble if it would have been fair. So Smetsrud goes with the pitch, takes the ball, takes the bat, and puts it into play. Ball sailing out of foul territory. And now the count is 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we'll call it 2 outs as well. So men on first and second, scoring position, 2 out. Strike 3 call. Clutch pitch by Eric Munson, and after 1 full inning of a play, it's the Sun Devils 1, Foothillers nothing. Top half of the second inning, it'll be Turan, Casey Chavez, and Bochy up for Mount Carmel. And on the mound, pitching left-hander Marcos Mendoza. So in the first half of the first inning, it was Chachi Mueller coming in from third base on a base hit by breaking pitch. Called strike on that one, and quickly the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes on Mark Turan. Chopper, slow chopper down to the third base side. Mark Turan on with an infield single. So it was a slow chopper down the third baseline. Ryan Lair coming up on it. By the time he got the ball and the throw, Turan was at first base. Wouldn't have really mattered too much. Eric Svezrud was off the base trying to just take the throw from Lair. But with no outs, got the first runner on, and up to bat now is Casey Chavez. Bunt down the third base side. Forced at second, and that'll be the first play. So Casey didn't want to put the ball into play that hard. He was looking for a soft bunt, but it wasn't the case as Casey chopped at it, and it was a quick bunt back to Lair. Lair goes over to Curley, so it'll be 6-4 on that play, and that's going to be out number 1. Quick pitch back. Nice pitch, nice flip out by Bo Craig after taking a high pitch from Mendoza. Strike called. So on first base is Casey Chavez. 1 out. Count 1 ball and 1 strike now to Greg Bochy. And the crowd yelling back for Chavez to get back. Just getting back in time with the dive is Casey Chavez, and it's Marcos Mendoza that's letting Casey know that he's thinking about him. Pitch is low. So the count now goes to 2 balls and 1 strike to Greg Bochy. Swing and a miss. Count now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Greg Bochy for the Mount Carmel Sun Devils, he plays second base, can pitch. Swing and a miss, and that'll be all for Greg Bochy as he goes after a high pitch. So that's strikeout number 2 for Marcos Mendoza.
Pitcher, Eric Chavez.
So top half of the order now with Chavez up at plate. Chavez flying out to left field his first time up. So Eric Chavez coming up to the plate. Chavez, a 6'1", 190-pound senior, can switch and bat both sides, right-handed thrower. And on his way either to the professional leagues in the upcoming draft or on his way to USC. It's going to be Eric's choice. First pitch is high to Eric, and that'll be ball 1. So we wanted to talk about Eric. It was the Mount Carmel Sun Devils in the semifinals game who were trailing Rancho Bernardo. There's a big swing and a miss. So all the runs in that game coming in, at least scoring 11, in the final 4 innings, 5 of which came on 2 home runs by Munson in that game. And Eric Chavez doing the pitching, breaking ball inside. So that's going to take the count to 3 balls and 1 strike, in a good position for Eric to take the pitch that he wants to drive. Eric Chavez, 2-time Division I Player of the Year, bounces in the dirt, gets away all the way to the fence. That's ball 4. And that's Chavez, who goes down to first base on balls. And now that's Chavez going over to second. So with 2 outs in the top half of the second inning, runners now for Mount Carmel. On first base, Eric Chavez. Second base now, Casey Chavez. And up at the plate, Chachi Mueller. Chachi was hit by a pitch his first time up. Chachi playing second base for Mount Carmel. Breaking ball, and that's a called strike. Marcos Mendoza have been pretty accurate with that breaking pitch in the early innings of the game. Blows one by, now caught in a rundown. Eric Chavez trying to do what he can do, and that'll be out number 3. So after 1.5 innings of play, the score remains Mount Carmel 1, Foothills nothing. Bottom half of the second inning, Foothills coming up, and now at the plate in the number 6 batting position, number 2, Sean Curley, taking the first pitch from Eric Chavez. Drive. What a catch. It was going to the gap in left center field. Both Dennis Mello and Mike Carter going after it, not communicating very well. And the catch was made, and out number 1 is made. Dangerous play out there. Going to the gap, both fielders, Dennis Mello and Mike Carter, going after it. Tracked down by Mount Carmel, and that's out number 1. It was Dennis Mello making the play, and now coming up is Brett Nielsen at the plate. Takes the ball. So Sean Curley sent a ball flying out into left center. The end result is out number 1 for Mount Carmel. Fouled back. Nice catch by one of the fans in the stands. So the count's now 1 ball, 1 strike. We do have 1 out. High fly ball into shallow right field. Calling for it. And making the play is Casey Chavez. So fly out now to right field, and that's 2 outs now. 2 up and 2 down on fly outs by the Foothills. And that means that Joe Howarth, left fielder for Foothills, is now up to bat. Chopper to Mark Muncy. Strong throw. Can't handle it as that it's in the dirt. And Howarth now on his way to second. Error was going to be charged to Mark Muncy, as he did a nice job of coming up and taking the ball, but it was the throw into the dirt, couldn't be handled by Jake Epstein. And so Howarth ends up at second base. That brings up Robert Spencer. Spencer coming up to bat against Eric Chavez. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. And so with the runner in scoring position at second base, you've got Joe Howarth, Robert Spencer swinging and taking a strike. So it's no balls and 1 strike to Robert Spencer. Eric Chavez on the mound. Strike on the inside corner, and it is now quickly no balls and 2 strikes. So as Eric Chavez himself, who got picked off in a rundown in the top half of the second to end the Mount Carmel Sun Devils threat. And it's now Eric on the verge of trying to put away Robert Spencer. Spencer in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes with 2 out here in the bottom half of the second inning. Breaking pitch, swing and a miss, and that'll do it for Robert Spencer. And that is strikeout number 3. And so after 2 full innings of play, the score remains Mark Carmel 1, the Foothillers nothing. Top half of the 3rd inning is Chachi Mueller coming up to bat now. Chachi was hit by a pitch his first time up, so he got on base. He came around and ended up scoring the run for Mount Carmel on a pitch that got away, fouled off. Got away from Bo Craig. Bo Craig keeping the ball in front of him, squirted away from him, tried to make a throw to Marcos Mendoza, but it was Chachi Mueller who came in and scored in time, so that made the game 1-0. That's where we stand right now. Ball once again in the dirt and getting away from Bo Craig. That was a tough hop. That's going to put the count now 1 ball and 1 strike to Chachi Mueller. So we alluded to earlier in the semifinal match, there's a grounder and a nice strong throw. Ryan Lair going 6-3 to Eric Smedzrud, and that'll be out number 1 for Mount Carmel. Ryan with a nice throw that time. And up to bat now, Eric Munson, number 44. Let's talk a little bit about Eric Munson. In that semifinal game where Mount Carmel went 8 innings to beat Rancho Bernardo 11-9, it was Eric Munson hitting 2 home runs to bring Mount Carmel from a 7-1 deficit and beat Rancho Bernardo. Scoring 11 runs in the final 4 innings, 5 of which came on 2 home runs by Munson. It was the defending champion Mount Carmel that wiped out that 7-1 deficit to beat Rancho Bernardo in 8 innings, 11-9. That game over at Grossmont College. And that brought Mount Carmel to the Division I finals here tonight. Breaking ball missing, so now the count goes 3 balls and 1 strike to Eric Munson. Eric in the driver's seat right now, and Marcos Mendoza trying to put a strike on there. Strike it is called. So now the count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Eric Munson at the plate, trying to put the ball into play and get on base. So Eric Munson takes a ball right between the shoulder blades, and that one's going to hurt for a little bit. That was a high fastball. Eric could not get out in time, get away that is. And so that's the base on balls, hit pitch actually. And so Mount Carmel has a runner now on base, and that's Jake Epstein now. Jake getting a single his first time up, trying to advance Munson. Strike called. So in that same semifinals game, which went 8 innings, it was a shocker as Mount Carmel came back and beat Rancho Bernardo. Strike 2 called. 11-9. No balls and 2 strikes now on Jake Epstein. Beautiful night for baseball here at Jack Murphy Stadium. Swing back, count stays, no balls and 2 strikes. Beautiful full moon overshadowing the stadium. Few clouds as we started, but it's a very cool evening. Just right for baseball. Smedzrud takes the throw for Mendoza. So you couldn't ask for any better weather here at Jack Murphy Stadium. Couldn't ask for any better facilities to play on as these 2 Division I teams enjoying playing on the same field the San Diego Padres play on. Big swing and a miss, and a quick flip back to the first baseman. Munson gets back. So strikeout number 3 for Marcos Mendoza as Jake Epstein goes down swinging. And that'll bring up Mark Muncy, third baseman for Mount Carmel. Mendoza wearing number 19, pitching left-handed. Breaking ball in the dirt, stopped nicely by Craig. Count and go, no balls and 1 strike. In other semifinal action, Grossmont edged Monte Vista 5-4, setting for the tone for that day and advancing Grossmont to this finals. And there's a shot. It's going to drop in for a base hit. And that'll send Munson to second and Muncy to first. So that was a solid single into center field by Mark Muncy. And now that puts runners in scoring position. And up to bat now is number 22, center fielder Mike Carter. Mike Carter struck out. Called on strikes his first time up. Mike Carter trying to put the ball into play and advance at least some of the Mount Carmel runners. Swing and fouled back. Count goes to strike 1 on Mike Carter. So just as Mount Carmel came back dramatically against Rancho Bernardo, it was Grossmont overcoming Monte Vista in their game. They were at one time down 4-2, but it was Bo Craig and Ryan Laird themselves that came out in the bottom of the 7th to erase that 4-2 deficit. So both these teams coming in tonight's game, tops in Division I competition. First round competition, well, it was Grossmont getting by Patrick Henry 7-2. At the same time, it was Mount Carmel just getting by Morris 2-1. One ball, 1 strike, 2 out here in the top half of the 3rd inning. Mount Carmel trying to lead, or trying to extend that lead as the score is 1-0 Mount Carmel. Mike Carter now with 1 ball, 2 strike count. Breaking ball, grounder to the second baseman and over to Smetsrud, and that'll do it for Mount Carmel, leaving 2 base runners. After 2.5 innings of play, the score remains Mount Carmel 1, Foothillers 0. Last half of the 3rd inning, top 3 batters up for the Foothillers, and up on deck, up at the plate, Boog Walker. Shortstop for the Foothillers, flied out to the shortstop, first time up. Breaking pitch out in front of it. It goes foul, and quickly we got 1 ball and 1 strike. So we talked about Grossmont's comeback win against Monte Vista themselves, and it was top-seeded Monte Vista that got knocked out of the playoff competition by the Foothillers. Strike called. Top-seeded Monte Vista had been bidding for its 3rd trip to the final since 1990. Led 2-0 after the 1st inning. Hot shot to third base, knocked down. The throw will not be in time. Waiting for the official score to see what they'll do with that one. They'll be giving an error to third baseman Mark Muncy. That's a tough call. That was a hot shot by Mark Muncy. Give him credit for keeping the ball in front of him, using his chest to keep the ball down. And the Foothillers have their first base runner on in a quick throw back, and it's Boog Walker diving back. Strike call to Bo Craig. Bo reached safely to first base first inning on an error by second baseman Chachi Mueller. Now Craig going to try and advance Boog Walker. Off-speed pitch, big swing and a miss. That makes the count now, no balls and 2 strikes to Bo Craig. So after a 2-0 lead by Monte Vista, coming on some scoring, there's a high fly ball to center field. Calling on it and now taking it is Mike Carter, out number 1 for the Foothillers. But as Coach Jeff Meredith of the Foothillers will tell you, that he has a group of kids that'll battle you all the way down to the final out, and they're not going to give up at any time. Extremely hard players, and that's what we're going to be seeing tonight. Fastball, low, ball 1. So it's Ryan Lair. And picked off nicely. Walker leading off a little too much as he was edging or leaning towards second base, and it was a quick throw by Eric Chavez and give a nice effort by Jake Epstein to put a tag on it. And now we go to 2 outs here, and man, oh man, that will take the wind out of you quickly now. 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 3rd, and what looked like was going to be a promising inning for the Foothillers has quickly diminished with 2 outs, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike now to Ryan Lair. Straight down the middle now, and Chavez in command of this one. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count to Ryan Lair. So Boog Walker gets picked off of first base. And it's now Eric Chavez throwing. Changeup. There's a high chopper to third. The throw. Safe is called. Close play at first base. It was a long throw by Mark Muncy. First base umpire calls Lair safe. And the runner's back on at first base. They're giving a hit to Ryan Lair. So with 2 outs, 1 man on, it's now up to Tyler Nicholas, who got a base hit, his first base up. Quick throw again by Chavez, digged out nicely by Jack Epstein. Epstein with a good dig on that play. Chopper once again down the third baseline. It's going to be a long throw. This time, he gets him. So a lot of action by Muncy at third base. After 3 full innings of play, the score remains Mount Carmel 1, Grossmont nothing. Top of the 4th inning, Mount Carmel up. Mark Turan at the plate, designated hitter. Mark put the ball into play, and it was a forced out. Last time up. Quickly the count goes now, no balls and 2 strikes to Mark Turan. So in quarterfinal action coming into this game, check swing called strike. Quarterfinal action, it was Grossmont 8, Granite Hills 6. And by the same score, it was Mount Carmel getting by Helix 8-6. Inside, ball now going 3 balls, 1 strike to Mark Turan. High ball 4, and so the first runner gets on base. Base on balls to Mark Turan and Casey Chavez coming up. So the top 3 batters. Turan, Chavez, and Bochy. Casey Chavez coming up. Timeout on the field as a pitching change comes in for the Foothillers of Grossmont. Replacing Marcos Mendoza will be number 54, David Krish. Krish will now be pitching for the Foothillers. So as David Krish is continuing to warm up, we'll have a pinch runner. Pinch runner, number 21, Tommy Humphrey. Casey Chavez at the plate, and the runner goes. Bunt is down, and the play goes 1-3. Not the best play. That's not what the execution wanted. Tommy Humphrey easily was into second. Nobody was covering second base. And it was Casey Chavez who really didn't see what was going on, laid down a bunt. And the play goes 1-3 on that one, so that's going to be out number 1 for Mount Carmel. Not exactly the way they wanted to execute that, but Humphrey does go down to second base and in scoring position, and that brings up Greg Bochy. Bochy with a swing and a miss. So one out here in the top half of the 4th inning. David Krish now taking over the pitching duties. Throws an off-speed pitch, which is high, and that's going to bring the count to 1 ball and 1 strike. So the sign was on for a bunt. Humphrey took off with nobody covering second. Speed showing. There's a swing and a miss. Foul tip called. Humphrey easily gets down to second as time is called now. So Krish now trying to settle down in his first inning of pitching. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Greg Bochy at the plate. Swing and a miss, and that'll be strike 3. And that'll be out number 2 for Mount Carmel. So that'll bring up Eric Chavez. And so the Foothillers elect to put Chavez on base. And so that'll be put runners at first and second. Humphrey at second base. Chavez on at first now. And Chachi Mueller now at the plate. Chachi scored the only run in the game so far in the first inning and got out 6-3 in the third. So no balls, 1 strike to Chachi Mueller. At first base, Eric Chavez. Down at second, pinch running is Tommy Humphrey. Humphrey with speed, and he wants to show it. Off-speed pitch is high. So the ball count now 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. We are in top of the 4th inning. 1-0 is the score. Mount Carmel scoring in the first inning, top half of that inning. And the scores remain that all the way through now as we go into the top of the 4th. Swing and a miss. And left-hander David Krish seems to have settled down, settled into his groove very rapidly as it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Hot shot taken in nicely, and that'll do it for Mount Carmel. The play going 6-4. That's the third out, and after 3.5 innings of play, Mount Carmel 1, the Foothillers nothing. Nice crowd out here at Jack Murphy Stadium, taking a look at some of the fans here enjoying baseball for Mount Carmel. And couldn't ask for a better night with the weather. Full moon out tonight, not a cloud in the sky, and absolutely beautiful playing conditions here at Jack Murphy Stadium. So Eric Munson remains on the mound as we go into the bottom half of the fourth inning. And that's Eric Smetsrud at the plate, taking strike one. Eric called strikeout in the first inning, fouls one back, and the count quickly goes to no balls and 2 strikes. So in quarterfinal action, we talked about Grossmont 8, Granite Hill 6. Going into semifinal action, we talked about the come-from-behind win Grossmont had. Hard shot into center field. Smetsrud for the Foothillers gets on, and so base runner number 1 comes up here, bottom half of the fourth inning. Solid hit. It was a high fastball by Eric Chavez, and Eric Smetsrud put the ball right back out there, and it was a hot shot into right field. So we got a base runner for the Foothillers. And that'll bring up Sean Curley. Sean Curley flying out to left field his first time up. So both these teams capable of overcoming 1 run-ins, and here we have a pinch runner for Smetsrud. Pinch running for the Foothillers is number 55, Mike McCoy. McCoy now pinch running and at first base. McCoy, 5'9", 150 pounds, a 10th grader at Grossmont High. Quick flip back. Ball gets by the first baseman. Ball goes into right field, and a quick throw in. Damage done on that play as Mike McCoy scampers down to second base. It was a routine flip on the way by Eric Munson, but it was high and wide, and Jake Epstein could not find the handle. So an error on Munson as McCoy scampers down to second base. So with no out, runner now in scoring position. Ball high, the count now 1 ball and 1 strike. McCoy at second base. Base hit, right field. McCoy now coming around. The relay, he's got him in time. Nice relay by Mount Carmel. We'll score that 9-1-2. Check that, 9-3-2. And McCoy's cut down easily at home plate. McCoy never had a chance. Once the ball came into the infield, it was Epstein with a throw. Eric Munson well out in front of the plate as he blocked the plate easily, and it was McCoy out for out number 1. Beautiful defensive relay. Chavez, Epstein, Munson, and that's what's kept Mount Carmel and brought them to this Division I playoff game all season long. And now Nielsen up at the plate. And that's ball.
Yeah!
2 balls, no strikes to the count to Nielsen. Brett flied out to right field his first time up. No balls, or 3 balls, no strikes. Now the count. Down the middle as Nielsen was taking all the way, and that'll go to 3 balls and 1 strike. So Curley gets a base hit. He's at first base now as the throw goes to back to Mount Carmel. Epstein taking the throw. Curley with the throw, and then it was McCoy who tried to score all the way from second. Nice relay by the Mount Carmel Sun Devils and cut him down at the plate. The score remains now bottom half of the 4th. 1-0 Mount Carmel. And here the score, we've got a full count and 1 out here. Base runner going. Hit and run works nicely for the Foothillers. And on to third goes Curley. So the hit and run was on. Nielsen put the ball into play. Nice single down to the right field line. And with Curley scampering from first, he made it all the way to third base. So runners now at the corner with 1 out. And up to bat now is Joe Howarth. Howarth reached first base on an error by the third baseman, his first time up. Nice breaking ball, off-speed pitch for strike 1. And now Eric Chavez has to do some work. Only 1 out. Quick throw back. And Nielsen is back. So you got runners on the corners, first and third, only 1 out. Big swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. And quickly it's no balls and 2 strikes to Joe Howarth. Chavez and Mount Carmel looking for a strikeout here will help them greatly. Curley at second. Nielsen at first. Ball is low, gets away from Munson. And in from third base, scores. So on a pitch that gets away from Eric Munson, it's Sean Curley scampering in from third base, and that means it's a tie ball game now, bottom half of the 4th. So the ball's now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Howarth, Joe Howarth. Fastball high. So now the count goes to 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 down. Nielsen on the pass ball, now moving down to second base. And in scoring position. And now that's ball 4. So Joe Howarth gets a base on balls, and we'll take a timeout as the coaching staff and the infield players come in to talk to pitcher Eric Chavez. So we've got runners at first and second, 1 out for the Foothillers. Chavez on the mound. Strike called. And now batting for the Foothillers is number 22, Brandon Rogers. Swing on an off-speed pitch. Way out in front of that one was Brandon Rogers. So it's quickly no balls and 2 strikes, exactly what Mount Carmel wants. Runners at first and second. Score now 1-1 as we're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Chavez trying to get another out desperately. That's high in ball 1. So Brandon Rogers, 6-foot senior, weighing in at 190, catcher for the Foothillers. Slow pitch, Error now on Mount Carmel. So Greg Bochy, who was looking to pick up the ball and put a force at second, boots the ball out. That'll be an error against Bochy. For the Foothillers, coming in to score from second base is Brett Nielsen. 2-1 now the score. Mount Carmel being victimized by the error ball tonight. Something that neither team really wants to do. So 2-1 is the score, bottom half of the fourth inning. Strike one now called. Out at third base. What a hustle. Ball snagged by Mark Munson and dashed over to the third base, dove for it, and it was the third base coach calling him out. Fantastic play and what they needed to try and squash any more type of scoring opportunities here for the Foothillers. So now runners, Walker at first, Rogers at second, 2 out now, and up to plate and fouled off slicing is Bo Craig. So Boog Walker put the ball into play, and it was a fielder's choice by Mark Muncy, and his choice was to put the out at third, diving and getting there just in time to put the out at third base. So now we've got 2 out, 1 strike on Bo Craig. One ball, 1 strike is the count. Nobody there covering as Chavez puts Rogers back at second. Rogers leading off at second. Walker leading off at first. Off-speed pitch, and that's going to be ball number 2. 2 balls, 1 strike now to Bo Craig. Bo reached first base on an error in the first inning, flied out to center field in the third. Now trying to bring more runners home. Just outside. Runs the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. Shot to left field. It drops. Craig with this called out. So what happens on that play? Look, what looked like to be a routine shot by Bo Craig. The outfielder, Dennis Mello, stumbled, caught his cleat in the ground. And with that help, the bases were cleared. Bo Craig tried to take the ball, take the bag to third, was called out for the third out. But the damage is done. 4 runs scored in the bottom half of the fourth inning. And right now, after 4 innings of play, it's Grossmont 4, Mount Carmel 1. Top half of the 5th inning here at Jack Murphy. Eric Munson now at the plate. Foothillers coming off an explosive bottom half of the 4th. Off-speed pitch called, strike 1 to Munson. 4 runs being scored by the Foothillers in the bottom half of the 4th. And the door was open wide as the 4 runs came in. Shot to center field. There to make the play for the Foothillers is Brett Nielsen, and that's out number 1.
First baseman, Jake Epstein.
Jake Epstein now up to the plate. Base hit for Jake in the first inning. Called strike swinging in the third. So Jake takes ball 1. Another pitching change for the Grossmont Foothillers. Now on the mound is number 17, Adam Diaz. Diaz on the mound now, replacing David Krish. Adam Diaz, a 6-foot, 210-pound junior for Grossmont, throwing right-handed. And he'll be facing the next 3 batters for Mount Carmel. Up on deck is Mark Muncy, Mike Carter to follow, and Mark Turan. So it's Jake Epstein now. It'll be Epstein, Muncy, and Carter. That's the next 3 batters. Jake Epstein, base hit in the first inning. Strikeout in the third. So it's Adam Diaz, right-handed pitcher for Foothillers, who is immediately throwing heat on the mound. Up high and inside, and that's ball 4. That's what Mount Carmel wants to do, and that is to put a runner at first base and get something going. So base on balls to Jake Epstein. Now coming up is number 9, Mark Muncy. Mark also getting a base hit in the first inning and a base hit in the second. So Mark is 2 for 2 in tonight's game. Trying to make it 3 for 3 here in the top half of the 5th inning. Inside and tight. Count goes ball 1 to Mark. So Mount Carmel coming into tonight's game, defeating last year, defeating Rancho Bernardo in the championship game. Mount Carmel coming in to defend their championship. Ball low. Right now behind Foothillers 4-1 as we're in the top half of the 5th inning. But that's nothing new to Mount Carmel. Goes to show you in the semifinal game, they were down 7-1 to Rancho Bernardo and then came back scoring 11 runs in the final 4 innings, 5 of which came on Munson's home runs. Put them over the top in that game. So Mount Carmel's used to being able to come back, and that's what they need to do here today. Ball low. So the ball now goes to 3 balls and 1 strike, and it's Mark Muncy who's going to look for the pitch that he wants to be able to drive. Ball 4, and on consecutive base on balls, runners are now at first and second. So it's Adam Diaz who's throwing hard but having some trouble right now with his accuracy. Needs to settle down, and you see Boog Walker over there, number 23. Ryan Lair, number 6 from third base, coming over to settle down Diaz. So runners now at first and second, and number 22, Mike Carter, now up. Mike Carter 0 for 2 in tonight's game. Low pitch called strike at the knees. Mike Carter struck out first inning, put out 4-3 in the third, and now up 0 for 2. Off-speed pitch. Way off speed as the ball bounced in front. Give credit to Bo Craig, keeping the ball in front of him, keeping the runners at bay. So Jake Epstein, the tall first baseman at second base. Mark Muncy on at first. 1 out. Bouncing grounder deep in the hole at second. There's the force. And that'll be out number 2. So give credit to Mark Muncy, although put out at force at second base, did a good job of breaking up the play, and Sean Curley did not have a play for the Foothillers. That's 2 out. Runners now at the corners, and that's going to bring up Mark Turan. Turan now up at the plate. Down the line, past the diving Lair, Mount Carmel. Jake Epstein at third base comes in to score, so that was a hot shot right down the third base line. Lair diving for it, gets under his mitt. And so Mark Turan comes up with a crucial single that brings in a run. 4-2 is the score. Top half of the 5th inning, and with 2 out, swing and a miss by Casey Chavez. Casey reached first in a fielder's choice in the 2nd inning. Bunton was put out 1-3. Swing and a miss on a changeup. Casey upset with himself on that one. Wish he had that swing back. It's a quick no balls and 2 strikes here. Diaz trying to close the door on the Sun Devils. Sun Devils trying to get a rally going here with 2 out down in the 5th inning. Mark Turan at first base. Mike Carter at second. High fastball. That was Casey Chavez going after a couple bad pitches, and that'll do it for Mount Carmel. They score 1 run, and so after 4.5 innings of play, it's now Grossmont 4, Mount Carmel 2. Bottom half of the 5th inning, 4-2 Grossmont, and up on the plate, taking a strike 1 on a foul back ball is Lair, Ryan Lair, number 6, third baseman for the Foothillers. Ball 1. So we've had some excitement here, the 5th inning, and going back to the bottom of the 4th where it all opened up for Foothillers. Lair reaching back, reaching down for a pitch and fouling it back. Eric Chavez still on the mound now for the Foothillers. The count now 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan Lair. Grossmont finished the season overall 23-10. And honestly, they weren't expected to win 20 games this season, let alone reach the finals. Fastball. Lair a little late on that. It's fouled over the right side. Count now goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes to Lair. But the Foothillers found enough pitching. Foul called. Behind the plate umpire making a motion that it might have bounced into the dirt. Count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan Lair. Ryan getting a base hit his last time up. Striking out there. Out number 1 for the Foothillers on a strikeout. And coming up now is number 3, Tyler Nichols. Nichols base hit his first time up, being put out 5-3, so Tyler 1 for 2 tonight. Ball low. So the Foothillers found enough pitching to stay in the games and enough hitting to win them. The team's top starters, David Kirsch, Marcos Mendoza, Adam Diaz. Ball slicing. Foul is the call. Count will go to 1 ball and 1 strike. So Kirsch, Diaz, and Mendoza combined pitching helped the Foothillers get all the way. Relief help comes from Ryan Lair, Bo Craig, 8 saves. Lair himself, 1 ball, 2 strikes is called. Now the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike to Tyler Nichols. So Foothillers a surprise getting here. There's a shot. Picked up nicely, throwing over to make sure it's an out. Out number 2 for the Foothillers. So that was a soft shot picked up by Chachi Mueller. Felt he caught it before it hit the ground, but just to make sure, flipped it over to Jake Epstein, and that's out number 2. And now at the plate, Eric Smedzrud. Smedzrud striking out his first time up, getting a base hit his second time up, so he's 1 for 2. Swing and a miss by Smedzrud. So the count now goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. So they might have been a surprise to those who rate teams. Grossmont seeded 5th in the playoffs coming in here to tonight's game. Mount Carmel seeded 6th, but not a surprise to the team. Strike call. Not a surprise to the Foothillers as well as Coach Jeff Meredith. Scrappy players, they'll battle you all night long is a quote that you'll hear from Jeff Meredith, and such is the case tonight. Just inside, ball 4, and Smedzrud moves down to first base on balls. So Sean Curley, second baseman for the Foothillers, comes up. Flied out to left field his first time up. Base hit his second time up, ended up scoring on a wild pitch. Way out in front for strike 1. Bottom half now of the 5th inning. Bunt, and a nice one at that, laid down nicely. Sean Curley with a textbook bunt down the third baseline, and he reaches first base safely. And now with 2 out, Foothillers have runners at first and second, and most importantly, once again for Brett Nielsen, runners in scoring position. Another bunt goes foul, just foul. Do it again. So a quick strike on Brett Nielsen as he tries to lay down a bunt along the third baseline. Reaches foul. And Nielsen trots back. Foothillers back in 1991 in the record books for most consecutive wins, 25. Nielsen, hard time holding back on that one, but he does as the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Low. So for the Foothillers, finishing their overall record 23-10, 9-3 in the Grossmont North League, first place for them. Fastball swung and fouled back, so the count will go to 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Off-speed pitch just missing, and now the count goes full. It's going to activate the runners with 2 out here. Bases Runners on first and second. They'll be going with the full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Nielsen. Swing and a miss. Strikeout for Chavez. And so after 5 full innings of play, Foothills 4, Mount Carmel 2. Top half of the 6th inning, and there'll be a pitching change for the Foothills. Coming on to pitch on the mound for the 6th inning, it's number 1, Bo Craig. Craig starting in the catching position, now taking over the pitching duties as we go into the 6th inning.
Catcher number 6.
So now behind the plate for the Foothills, catching number 6, Ryan Lair. Lair starting the game at third base, now behind the plate. And at the plate, fouling off the first pitch for the Sun Devils, that's going to be number 12. Number 12 for the Sun Devils is James Shearer. Off speed is high, so Shearer now taking over. Fastball outside, so the count now goes 3 balls and 1 strike to Shearer. Fouled away. Shearer plays third base, shortstop, 6'2", 185 junior for Mount Carmel. Bats right, throws right. First time up in today's game. Swing and a miss. That'll be strike 3 and out number 1 for the Foothills. Eric Chavez now at the plate. Nice breaking ball. That'll be called for strike 1. So Eric going the all way so far in pitching. Gets away from Craig. That'll be 1 ball, 1 strike. Bo Craig has 8 saves during the season. Team leader in that department. Hard shot deep in the hole, can't be handled. And that'll be a base hit for Chavez. So Chavez gets safely on base with 1 out in the top half of the 6th inning, and now up to bat will be Chachi Mueller. Chachi now, along with the Sun Devils, trying to get something going, and they're up against a hard-throwing right-hander in Bo Craig. Soft toss back to Smedsrud. So Bo Craig with 8 saves for the season. Low and inside for ball 1, and he has some heat on that ball.
Take one for the team.
Pitch back. So Eric Chavez at first. Change up. Falls right in there for strike number 1. So the count now goes to Chachi Mueller. 1 ball and 1 strike. Swing and a miss on a fastball. And so Bo Craig firing heat in this inning. Bo Craig taking over for Adam Diaz, who took over for David Krish, who came in at the top of the 4th to relieve Marcos Mendoza. fourth pitcher for the Foothillers, with Craig on the mound. 1 ball, 2 strikes is the count. So for Mount Carmel coming into tonight's Division I championship, riding a winning streak that traces its origins back to mid-season when the team was playing under 500. But since then, Mount Carmel has won 13 of 14 games. The biggest win coming in the semifinals when the team came back from a 7-1 deficit to beat Rancho Bernardo in 8 innings. And that's exactly what Mount Carmel wants to do here tonight, is come back to take the league. So Chachi Mueller, now with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes on him. Laying off a fastball, it was high. 2-2 the count. Man, oh man. Craig definitely has some heat on that ball, and that's got to be tough for Mount Carmel because they haven't seen that heat in the previous 5 innings. So coming into the 6th inning, Foothillers doing what they want to do and putting some fresh blood on the mound and some heat. Changeup. So it was Chachi Mueller staying with the changeup, but it dribbled down the first baseline. Smetsrud easily taking it himself, and that's 2 outs now in the top half of the 6th inning. And up to bat is Eric Munson. Eric Munson, the hero of the last game against Rancho Bernardo. Munson coming back and hitting 2 home runs, and Mount Carmel's hoping that the magic can still be there. So the Foothillers elect to put Munson on at first base. The Foothillers well aware of what Munson could do to them, not wanting to risk any of the balls leaving the ballpark off Munson's bat. So it'll be Jake Epstein now at the plate with Munson at first and Chavez at second. 2 out here, top half of the 6th. Shot past the diving glove of the shortstop. Safe all around the horn. Jake Epstein coming up with a clutch double past the diving glove of Boog Walker. 2-run score, and now the score is 4-3. And Mount Carmel fighting back. Clutch hit by Jake Epstein. Now at second base. Eric Munson at third base. 2 out. And it's Mount Carmel trying to tie this game up in the top half of the 6th inning. Way out in front of that pitch is Mark Muncy. Mark 2 for 3 coming into the 6th inning. And the crowd's alive for Mount Carmel as Muncy's trying to put the ball safely into play. Fouled back. No balls and 2 strikes to count to Mark Muncy. 2 outs. Munson 90 feet away from tying up this game. Jake Epstein, the person who put the double to score 2 runs in this inning. It's going to drop. Fumbled. So a looping single into left field just over the third baseman's head. Nichols drops safely, and Mount Carmel has come back to tie this game 4-4 on a clutch single by Mark Muncie. Out in front of that pitch is Mike Carter. So consecutive hits, a double by Epstein, followed by a blooping single by Mark Muncie, has tied this game up 4-4. Epstein now over to third base. Muncie on first, runners at the corners with 2 down. Shot single, fumbled. Nice play by Smetsa. It was a sharp ball on the ground right to him, and he puts out the third. But Mount Carmel comes back, scoring 2 important runs in the top half of the 6th inning. And so after 5.5 innings, it's 4-4. Bottom half of the 6th inning, 4-4 ball game. Chavez still on the mound for Mount Carmel. And taking strike for strike 1 is Joe Howard. So Mount Carmel comes storming back in the top half of the 6th to tie it up. Howard taking strike 2. And it's 4-4. Off speed just missing, and the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. As we're winding down this game, the crowd's starting to get more and more into the game, and you can hear both sides rooting for their team. So it's Eric Chavez staying on the mound for Mount Carmel. Joe Haworth, bouncing single, and the play goes 4-3 for out number 1. Now up to the plate is number 8, Dan Smith. Smith now batting for number 44, Robert Spencer. Smith, 5'9", 170 pounds, senior. Right-handed hitter, throws right. 2 strikes quickly on Smith. And strike 3. Boog Walker takes ball 1 high and inside. And that'll do it for the Foothillers. After 6 full innings of play, we've got a tie ball game, 4-4. So we're going into the last inning of play, top half of the 7th inning. Batters up for Mount Carmel, Mark Turan, Casey Chavez, and Greg Bochy. And they're going up against Bo Craig. Bo Craig on the mound for the Foothillers, the closer with 8 saves for the Foothillers all season long. So Mark Turan, 2 for 2 tonight with a base on balls. Ball gets away. Two balls, no strikes. Strike call. So for Mark Turan, count now goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. So Mount Carmel comes back and ties it up 4-4 as we go into the last inning. Swing and a miss. And Craig, who normally has been throwing hard fastballs, takes Turan out on nothing but off-speed pitches. So now coming up, number 25, Casey Chavez. Casey taking ball 1. Casey 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out his last time up. Nice breaking pitch by Bo Craig. So as I was saying, Craig, who started out his first inning throwing hard heat, has now gone to changeups, and we'll see what he throws right here. Fastball, set him up with the changeup before, off-speed stuff, comes back with a high fastball, and Chavez bit at that one, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fouled back, so the count remains that way. Ball is low. So it's Mount Carmel who've come back to tie this game 4-4. And as Munson said in a previous interview, it's really easy to lay down and roll over. When you're down, just roll over and die. But not this team. And it goes to show it. And just as the Foothillers climbed back to take the lead, fouled, caught, strike 3, and that's out number 2. But just like Grossmont, it's Mount Carmel who's come back. And basically, we're starting all over, folks. 4-4, last inning, top of the 7th. 2 out now. Greg Bochy now up. Bochy struck out his last time up. Takes a wicked swing at a low pitch that gets away from Lair. 2 outs on 2 consecutive strikeouts for Bo Craig. That's what he's done all season long for the Foothillers. Chopper. So it's Bochy called out at first base. Long throw by the third baseman, but he's called third out, and so after 6.5 innings of play, it's a 4-4 ball game. So we're in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Eric Chavez going all the way for Mount Carmel. And it's Bo Craig up to bat, taking the strike on the foul. Chavez doing what he's done all season long, trying to lead Mount Carmel to a victory, but it's all tied up 4-4 here. And it's Bo Craig who wants to try and spark the Foothillers in the bottom half of the 7th to put something on. Bounding ball to Chachi Miller. Scoring goes 4-3, and that's out number 1 for the Foothillers. Coming up now, Ryan Lair. Ryan starting at third base, now behind the plate catching for the Foothillers. 1 for 3 is Lair, striking out his last time at bat. Strike called. Down the middle is quickly, no balls and 2 strikes for Lair. Lair batting .464, shallow into right field, and it's caught by Chachi Mueller. So Lair, who's batting .464 all season long with 10 home runs and 49 RBIs, flies out to the second baseman, Chachi Mueller. Now that's 2 gone for the Foothillers. Tyler Nichols takes ball 1. Tyler 1 for 3 tonight. Bouncing into a 4-3 out his last time up. Made contact with the ball each time, just missing low. So the count's 2 balls and 1 strike to Tyler Nichols. Fouled back. So we're 1 out away from going into extra innings in this ball game.
Take that cloak off, you ain't got nothing to guard.
The Division II game, right before this one, fouled back. Went into extra innings as well. Mission Bay ending out on top on that game as it went into extra innings itself. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, last half of the 7th inning, 4-4 tall ball game. Strike 3 call. So after full 7 innings of play, 4-4 tie, and we're going into extra innings to find out who will be the Division I champion here in San Diego. Top half of the 8th inning, we've gone into extra innings. 4-4 ball game, and up to the plate, Eric Chavez. Chavez going all the way pitching tonight. 1 for 2 tonight. Base hit his last time up. Flied out first inning. Base on balls in the 2nd and 3rd. And it's Eric Chavez to try and get the ball rolling here in the top half of the 8th inning. Bounding shot to the second baseman, scores 4-3. Curley to Smedzrud, and that's out number 1 for Mount Carmel. So the last time a CIF championship game went into extra innings, strike called. Chachi Miller at the plate. Taking a look at some CIF records. Most innings played in a playoff game, CIF Class 1A Finals Championship, was back in 1973. It was 17 innings. Strike called. Nice breaking pitch. So it went 17 innings. It was Ramona 6, Army Navy 5. That was way back in 1973. That's a record for CIF championship play. The record for most innings in a game during the season belongs to the Santana El Cajon game, 1975. Santana 8, El Cajon 7 in 18 innings. We're starting the 8th here. Fastball. Chachi Mueller lays off, and so the count goes full, 3-2, 1 out here in that top half of the 8th inning. Crowd trying to help spark something for Mount Carmel. Off speed, he's called strike 3. Pulled the string on that one. Nice pitch by Bo Craig. Called strike 3, and that'll be out number 2 for Mount Carmel. And you can see why Bo Craig leads his team in saves. He's got the power and the speed of the fastball and can put the accuracy with the changeup. And that's what he did with Chachi Mueller. One ball, no strikes now to Eric Munson. That breaking pitch called strike. So Eric would like to do what he did in the semifinal game against Rancho Bernardo, and that's to put a ball out of the ballpark and put Mount Carmel in front. Swing and a miss, and a crowd roars for the Foothillers. Eric Munson, dangerous power hitter for Mount Carmel. Ball dances out in front. Count goes now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Eric with the base on balls last time out. 0 for 1 overall. Fastball up high. Craig hoping that Munson would go after the fastball. Munson holding off, and now the ball, 3 balls, 2 strikes, full count, 2 out. Here's the pitch. Ball 4. Good disciplined batting by Eric Munson as he trots down to first base. And so as we're in the top half of the 8th, with 2 out, Mount Carmel gets a base runner in Eric Munson. Now it's Jake Epstein up to bat. Epstein with the clutch double base hit, double in the 6th inning. Scored the runs that put Mount Carmel in a tie with the Foothillers. And Epstein once again wants to do it. Big swing and a miss. Seniors Jake Epstein, Mark Muncy, Chachi Mueller contribute as well on this team. Strike on the inside part of the plate is called, and quickly it's no balls, 2 strikes to Jake Epstein. We'll see if Craig tries to pull the string on this one. Fastball fouled off. So when you're trying to guess a pitcher, it's a tough one to do, and I tell you, have a split second to decide whether you're going to swing or hold off, and Craig has been doing a great job of keeping the Mount Carmel batters off balance. There's the off-speed pitch. Low and outside, so it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jake Epstein. Strike 3 called on the off-speed pitch, and that does it for Mount Carmel. So after 7.5 innings of play, the score remains Mount Carmel 4, the Foothillers 4. Last half of the 8th inning. Ball 1 taken by Smetsrud, Eric Smetsrud. Time called as the pitch is released. Smetsrud getting a base on balls his last time up. Solid single to center field starts off the game for the Foothillers. Eric Chavez on the mound for Mount Carmel. He's going the distance. Sean Curley now coming to the plate to try and see what he can do to push Smetsrud on to second, if not more. Curley, base hit last time up. 2 for 3 tonight. Chavez with the quick throw. There's a bunt. What was bobbled initially by Chavez kept his cool, picked the ball up and threw Curley out at second, but Curley did his job, sacrificing himself, advancing the runner now to second base and in scoring position with one away. Brent Nielsen now coming to the plate. Brent 1 for 3. Brett striking out his last time up. And so it'll be an intentional walk to Brett Nielsen to be able to put a force out at third base. And that'll bring up Joe Howarth. Joe 0 for 2 tonight. Just foul. Could have been trouble. Down the third baseline. Sharp shot, just foul. Almost hitting the third base coach there. So we'll crank it up and do it again here at Jack Murphy Stadium. One out here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Runners on first and second. Joe Howarth at the plate. Bunt attempt by Howarth goes foul, and that'll be no balls and 2 strikes. So the Sun Devils would love to get it out here without advancing any of the runners. No balls, 2 strikes to Howarth. Howarth went 4 to 3, getting out his last time up. Bouncing in the dirt, nice save by Eric Munson to keep the ball in front of him and keeping the runners from advancing. Breaking pitch down low. Now the count goes 2 balls and 2 strikes. And for Mount Carmel, they want to definitely get it out right here. Any score in this inning makes the game go to the Foothillers and the championship. Fouled off. So with the Foothillers, the home team, they get their last ups, and that's where they're at right here as we go into the bottom half of the 8th inning. 4-4 ball game. Mount Carmel, 4 runs, 7 hits with 5 errors. Grossmont, 4 runs, 8 hits, only 1 error. No errors now is what Mount Carmel's thinking as they want to get it out with the advancers not running. Strike 3 called. Big out for Eric Chavez and Mount Carmel. Howarth caught looking at a strike 3 pitch on the inside corner off speed. Second out, and that's a big one. Smith hits a shot to center field, and it is out. And so Mount Carmel gets out of this inning with a big second out, called strike. And after full 8 innings of play, it's 4-4. So we go into the 9th inning, 4-4 tie. And Mark Muncy takes a swing and fouls off pitch number 1. Bo Craig stays on the mound for the Foothillers, doing an excellent job coming into relief for Adam Diaz. Foothillers using 4 pitchers as we go into the 9th inning. Off-speed pitch is low, and now the count goes 1-1 to Mark Muncy. Base hit to Mark Muncy last time up. He's hoping he can do it again right here. Mark Muncy 3 for 3 tonight with the base on balls, having an excellent game at the plate. Strike call. So it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mark Muncy, and he hopes he can try and extend his hitting streak. Ball now. Drops in to right center field, so Mark Muncy, who's had his troubles at third base, has done extremely well at the plate, going 4 to 4. Excellent batting by Mark Muncy tonight. Number 22, Mike Carter, center fielder, coming up trying to move Mark Muncy along. Top half of the 9th inning, nobody out. And Mike Carter now trying to see what he could do against a good pitcher in Bo Craig. Strike called on a bunt attempt by Mike Carter. So Mike Carter, 5'11", 190-pound freshman. Quick pitch back to Smetsrud. So Mike Carter, a freshman, playing up here on the Mount Carmel Sun Devil varsity team. Check swing by Mike Carter, but it does the job. As his check swing advances, Mark Muncy over to second base and in scoring position. So there's 1 out here, top of the 9th inning. And Mark Turan now comes to the plate. Mark struck out his last time up. Base hit here is what they're looking for to score Mark Muncy from second. Mark Muncy leading off. Nobody's covering. Just a play by Craig. Just wants to let him know that he's looking. Wants Mark to think about what he's doing there at second base. Now you can see that Mark's staying close to second with that one. And now coming in to pinch run for Mark Muncy will be number 23, Mark Shea. Shea will be running for Mark Muncy. So Shea now running at second base, putting speed on the pass. The off-speed pitch has Mark Turan swinging at that one. So the count now goes to no balls and 1 strike. Chopper foul. So Russ Shea at second showing some speed, and that's why they put him out there. Hope to try and get him around third to score on any type of opportunity from the bat of Mark Turan. But Craig trying to shut him down. A shot down, base hit. Coming on in home, and the throw is late. And Mount Carmel goes ahead, and there's a clutch shot by Mark Turan. Solid single down the right baseline, and all the way from second comes the speedster, Shea. Russ Shea using his speed, rounding second, called in, and he scores. So that puts Mount Carmel ahead now, 5-4. And now coming up, Casey Chavez. So give credit where credit is due. Mark Turan gets the go-ahead RBI single to put Mount Carmel ahead 1-0. And Bo Craig comes right back with that off-speed pitch, and it's a strike one call against Casey Chavez. Off-speed pitch again, and quickly Chavez is in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes. So with 1 out here, top of the 9th inning, Mount Carmel now ahead 1-0 on a clutch RBI single by Mark Turan. Just missing on that off-speed. So Craig's thrown 3 off-speed pitches. Let's see if he comes back with his fastball. Fastball it is, popped up. Foul territory, calling for it, and making the play. Nice play. Number 3, Tyler Nichols at third base, doing a good job of fighting the fans and the black skies to bring that one down. So Chavez fouls out, and that'll be out number 2 for Mount Carmel. And now number 7, Greg Bochy. Bochy grounding out 5-3 his last time up. Strike called on the off-speed pitch. Mark Turan leading off at first base. Shallow fly called by the second baseman. Sean Curley calls for an out, but not before the damage has been done on a key base hit by Mark Turan. After 8.5 innings of play, Mount Carmel now leads 5-4. Bottom half of the 9th inning, and the Foothillers send up the top of the lineup. Boog Walker, leadoff hitter, number 23, up the flat. Popped up and out of play. And on the mound, it's Eric Chavez going all the way for Mount Carmel. Boog Walker 1 for 3 tonight, bounced out 5-3 last time up. Nice changeup pitch by Eric Chavez, and quickly Boog Walker is in the hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Out in front of that one. So the Foothillers want to do what they did in their semifinal game against Monte Vista, and that's come back from a deficit and take the lead. For Mount Carmel, they did what they wanted to do. Same thing, although not in as dramatic fashion. They've taken the lead in the top half of the 9th. At one time down 4-1. Sidearm pitch by Chavez. The count remains no balls and 2 strikes. So Boog Walker batting .410 during the regular season, 4 home runs, 30 RBIs. Trying to get something started for the Foothillers. Now Chavez starting to throw sidearm. Out in front of Walker, no balls and 2 strikes. So Boog Walker batting .410. So Walker safe at first as we start the second half of the inning. Greg Bochy from shortstop position had a long throw from the hole and pulled off the first baseman, Jake Epstein. Popped up. Munson looking for the ball, and he's got it for out number 1. Craig flying out. So Boog Rocker getting on first base. 1 down, and now it's Ryan Lair coming up to bat. Ryan flied out to the second baseman his last time up. 1 for 4 tonight. Fastball down at the knees, right over the plate, strike 1. So Chavez doesn't look like he's lost any of his strength outside. He threw some of the balls against Walker's sidearm. Now he's back to throwing overhand. Nice play. Chachi Mueller doing a great job of tracking down that ball. It was headed for center field and then flipped it very nicely to Greg Bochy for the force at second. So Boog Walker is out on a force, and the Foothillers are now down to their last out. And up to the plate strolls Tyler Nichols. Flip over to first base, and that does it. Eric Chavez going the whole distance and taking the last ball himself, flipping it over to Jake Epstein for the final out. We went into extra innings, went 9, and after 9 full innings of play, Mount Carmel Sun Devils, Division I champions for the 1996 season, with a 5-4 win over the Fighting Foothillers of Grossmont High. And as you can see out there, it's Mount Carmel celebrating immensely, as all teams do at the mound, coming back from a 4-1 deficit, repeating the comeback performance as they had against Rancho Bernardo, went 8 innings in the semifinal match. Going 9 innings against the Foothillers here tonight, with the pitching of Eric Chavez and the timely hitting of Jake Epstein, of Chachi Mueller, of Mark Muncy, of Mark Turan. And it was Mount Carmel not giving up, coming back to win, to defend, and be for 2 years in a row now, back-to-back, as you can see the sign right there, back-to-back. Mount Carmel Division I winners, and give credit to Eric Chavez, Chachi Mueller, Eric Munson, Jake Epstein, Mark Muncy, Mike Carter, Mark Turan, Casey Chavez, Greg Bochy, Tommy Humphrey, Rush Shea, all contributing to this win for Mount Carmel. So from Jack Murphy Stadium, final score here, Mount Carmel Division I champions 5, Foothillers, who put up a tremendous effort, 4. We'll be back after this with some post-game interviews with Mount Carmel. On behalf of George Landsman Productions, I'm Dan Williams, and we'll be right back. Standing with me is Mark Turan. Mark, congratulations, first of all, on tonight. Now, you were at hit the game-winning single tonight. You struggled a little against Craig, who was a pretty good pitcher. What was he throwing out at you?
Basically, he had a really good curveball, and his fastball, he was bringing it pretty well. And I was surprised he gave me a fastball because I hit the fastball, and I thought he was going to bring a curve, and I'd been struggling with that. I thought he knew that, but oh well, he gave me a fastball.
What was the team thinking about when they exploded in that fourth inning and they really went ahead?
I don't know, because the team was really down at that point, and we just seemed to be a second half of the game team, and we just brought it all together, and we got hits, and when we needed them, and the intensity came back, and we knew we couldn't be beat then.
You had a great game out there. Congratulations as Division I champs.
Thanks a lot.
Standing with me is Chachi Mueller. Chachi, you scored the first run of the game, which was probably an omen of things to come, but you made some great plays out there, playing that second base position, especially that nice stop and flipped on the force play. But what was the team thinking about as you went into that top of the fifth down 4-1?
Well, the last two games we've been coming back, and I mean, we've just had that lucky charm. I mean, just coming back from all the times. I don't think anybody's really, I mean, we were nervous, but we all knew that we could win. So, I mean, we just came through at the right time. I mean, we've been doing it all year, and this game was no different than any of the other ones.
The ball was heading deep into center field. You snagged it with the pitcher perfect toss to the force. Is that something you've been doing all year long?
I just saw the ball go up to the middle, and I wasn't going to let it get through me. So I got my body in front, and I caught it, and I just flipped it to him. I mean, it's just a play that you make. You don't even think about it. You just go and get it. So.
Well, congratulations and Division I champs. Thanks. Dan Williams standing with the big Jake Epstein, first baseman for Mount Carmel. Congratulations on the win. You kind of broke it open. You had that double that scored some runs. What did he throw out at you?
Well, he threw me, I think it was a cut fastball. I wasn't really picking up any spin tonight. I was just looking for the ball. And they've been walking Munson all year, and I just wanted to make them pay once again.
Well, you surely did. And let me ask you about the team was down 4-1. What was there? What was the team thinking about going into the top of the fifth inning?
Well, we were trying to get one run at a time, but this team plays a lot better when we're behind. We've been behind all through the playoffs, and it's good teams come back, and we're a really good team this year.
Well, congratulations on the championship win. And what are your plans going on into next year?
I'm going to attend the University of Missouri in Columbia, and hopefully I'll get to play about half the games behind the plate there.
Hey, congratulations again. Jake Epstein.
Freshman. Come on. Freshman's got to get in.
Yeah, standing with me are some of the freshmen of the Mount Carmel team. Who's a freshman?
Freshman right there.
The rest freshman. Okay. Listen, let me ask you a question. You guys are down 4-1. What's going on in the dugouts? Is that, I mean, you know, all of a sudden they exploded. It was 1-0, and now it's 4-1. What's going on?
Yeah. We kicked the crap out of them. Well, just never give up. We just never give up.
Bit by bit, came back and we won it.
Never give up and always believe in yourself, and you'll get stuff done.
We've been doing that the last 3 games. Been down,
yeah,
came
the last
back.
2 games we've been down. I think we were down 7 runs. We came back.
Yeah.
So
comeback kids is what you guys would be called, right? And your name is?
Rusher.
Yeah, Rush, you were out on the field pinch running, right? You came around.
Right.
This guy's got wheels, man.
Well, we figured that when they put you in there that you had the speed out there, and we saw it very much so. That's something you've been doing all season long?
Yeah, I've been doing that the last 2 games. Yeah, scoring runs.
Mount Carmel, back-to-back wins, 5-4 winners over the Grossmont Foothillers. And as you can see right here, we'll give a hoop and a holler. Division I team champions, Mount Carmel Sun Devils. Standing with the head coach for Mount Carmel, the Division I champions this year for the second time in a row, back-to-back. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
You know, you were down again in this game, 4-1. What's going through your mind?
Well, yeah, I'd like to say we planned it. It seems like that's been our pattern, and so obviously you always like to play to your pattern. So when we got down, we thought maybe we were in the driver's seat. Who knows?
Now, Bo Craig came out, the 4th pitcher that they used, and he really was throwing a good combination of off-speed and fastballs.
Every one of their pitchers tonight was throwing great, and you could just tell by some of the results of our hitters with all their pitchers. But Bo comes out, and he comes out with a purpose, and he comes out with some great pitches, and he ties a lot of kids up. And, you know, we're fortunate to get some key hits, and we were real fortunate to score some runs when we had to.
Eric Chavez goes all 9 innings, striking out at least 8 or 9 batters. Did you ever think about replacing him?
Never, never. He came in the 6th inning, and I said, you know, I've got to take you out after 10. And he goes, I'm getting stronger. We'll win it before we get to 10. And that's all I needed to hear.
That's absolutely great. And this is your second consecutive back-to-back wins.
Right. This is the second one in a row. It's the 6th for the school, and it's the second one for this group of guys. Yeah.
Now you've got Eric and Chavez and Munson that are going to be graduating this year. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. And along with 7 other seniors are going to be leaving us too. So we had a real divided mix of kids. We had 9 seniors and then we had 9 really young kids. Well, those young kids will be looking to come back and the seniors will be looking to move on.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, listen, congratulations again, Coach, and we appreciate you here, and good luck next year as well.
Thank you. Well, if the gods and the winds have it, we'll be there.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.
From Jack Murphy Stadium, on behalf of George Langevin Productions, I'm Dan Williams. Final score once again, Mount Carmel Sun Devils 5, the Grossmont Foothillers 4. Mount Carmel winning the ARCO AM/PM Division I Championship in comeback fashion as they had done all year long. We'll see you again soon. I'm Dan Williams.